the New England Patriots.
All right, so they're definitely contenders for sure. Any team with Bill Belichick is going to be a contender. They're not going to be anything more, I think, than probably a 10-6 team because they, like we've mentioned all the time, they've had a lot of players drop out already, and the Patriots do rely on a lot of depth and rotation, game planning, a lot of that stuff. So not having that.
Cam Newton, you're telling me that they're not going to be contenders?
No, I'm not talking about the stars.
They can win 11 games this year.
I think that'll be a little hard. One, because I think the schedule is hard. AFC West,
the
NFC
schedule's
West,
always hard, and they still play well.
Right, I understand that. I mean,
it's not Tom Brady, but Cam Newton, I think, is still a better quarterback than Tom Brady right now.
I mean, maybe he is, but I'm saying in terms of the other things they've lost and still the question marks with the offensive skill players, that's going to be a very big, interesting thing to see. It's a whole new scheme all at once, too. A lot of the times for these other offensive players, you talk about it being it for Brady in Tampa. It's going to be it's going to be a new one for a lot of them in New England too, having to play with Cam Newton. Not that Cam Newton's bad; he's just different. That's all it is. So I think
you're a little different.
I think they could win the division.
He is a little different, don't you think, Mark?
I think so. I think
too.
they're going to be anywhere from probably at worst 7-9 to at best 10-6. I kind of see them 9-7 right now. They could definitely win this division, though. They're definitely contenders.
Buffalo Bills, Speedy.
Buffalo Bills. I think they're the best team for sure.
Oh, stop with this.
Now, here's the thing.
Stop with this. With you and the NFL Network people we've had on this show.
But this is where I'm not going to...
Give me a break.
I'm not going to say they're a 2 seed in the AFC like Dave Damashek, I think, said when we had him on the show. He's
out of his mind.
This is the one thing that I will say with the Bills. You got to watch for the expectations, though, because they've never been in this kind of position where they're this favored. That's why I don't think they'll be as good as a lot of people think. I like their running game. Their offensive line is good, but I think they'll regress a little because they did overperform last year to an extent. And I do think the defense as well. They did play very well. I think they'll still be very good, but I think they'll regress slightly as well. I kind of see them in that same range, anywhere between 7-9, 10-6 for the Buffalo Bills. But I do think Josh Allen will improve as a whole, too, with Stephon Diggs there.
Okay, the New York Football Green Jets.
They are contenders. I don't think they'll
win. They're contenders.
I think they're wild card contenders. I don't think they can win the division. I think that'll be very hard.
That's interesting.
But I think they are contenders, though, still, because the defense is strong.
I'm starting to like you a little bit better.
Yeah, the defense is still strong. I think they improved a lot in that secondary, like you were mentioning in the first segment. And the offensive line was the biggest key. And I always said Le'Veon Bell, this is the year for him. I always said the first year is going to be kind of a rushed year, new scheme, bad offensive line.
Why is he doing so bad at practice right now?
I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, he's done bad at practice before, and it never mattered. So I wouldn't take that much into account. So I think they could be wild card contenders. I'm not sure about division winners.
And the Miami Dolphins.
Not this year. I still think they're a year away. They're very young all at once. A lot of new pieces all at once. You and I disagree on the corners. I like the corners, but
corners are terrible.
But they still have a lot.
You watch. They're all going to be busts.
Oh my god! Mm-hmm. But they're. I think the rest of the team. There's a lot of new pieces all at once.
Like their front seven.
Their front seven definitely improved this offseason, but there's a lot of question marks on offense. Obviously, they got a nice receiver in Devontae Parker, but he's not going to have the same year he had last year.
Why not?
You have to expect him to regress. He's not that good of a player. Come on.
How do you know he's not a good player? He hasn't had a quarterback that could throw the ball until last year. Ryan Fitzpatrick has proven that he can throw the ball still. He's probably the best backup quarterback in the NFL.
Maybe, but again, they got Mike Gesicki, who I like at tight end, but beyond that, they still have a lot of moving pieces. So they'll improve, but also you got to factor in with Miami. Teams are not going to play down to them like they did last year either.
Down to the wire. How about you, Mark? New England Patriots.
Well, I obviously think they're a contender. I think they're still the best team in the East. I think they're better than Buffalo. I think Cam Newton gives them a quarterback that can still win. And the rest of their team is still pretty solid. I'd like them to go 10-6, win the division.
Mm-hmm. How about the Buffalo Bills?
The Bills, I think their biggest issue could be their biggest promise is Josh Allen. I think that he is still way too inconsistent. His completion percentage is not high enough, or it makes me kind of uncomfortable when I'm thinking about games you need to win in that division, passes you need to complete in the fourth quarter against good defenses that are going to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. The difference in the AFC East between schedules is only 2 games between all those teams, so they all have a pretty rough schedule this year. I think now that they have a contender moniker on them, it's going to be a little bit different for Buffalo.
A little hex.
Who, when the money's on the line, you saw it towards some points at the end of the year, maybe their palms got a little sweaty. And so I think...
Do your palms get sweaty like Speedy's?
No.
Oh, hopefully not. I mean, it gets a little disgusting when he touches things, you know?
No.
So hopefully he keeps it out of his pants.
Anyway, I think that the Bills are good enough to be a playoff team, now especially with the extra wild card, but I do not think they are better than New England, and I think they will wind up in second place.
How about the New York Football Gangrene Jets?
I think the Jets are right where they should be. I think this is a year to see how their offseason acquisitions pan out. I think it's a way for them to evaluate
A lot of injuries.
which guys they. Well, I mean, a lot of teams are going to have injuries because of just the pandemic and the how things are right now. I think everything's kind of overblown. If a guy gets a pulled hamstring or whatever, everything's got to be done just a little more carefully now. I think that they'll be what they should be, which is around a 5-6 win team. But you get to see how the players develop, which is going to be even bigger. And I think how Darnold molds with that offensive line can really make a difference for what they need going forward. Next year, I think they will have a big year, especially if they get some of the draft picks they get, and with Mosley being back. The one big question is that Adam Gase. That really kind of worries me, and that's kind of always like the.
Why is it worrying you?
The
If
thing
he
in the
doesn't get
back
into
of
the
my
playoffs,
mind.
he's gone. If he doesn't get into the playoffs, he's gone.
But I think 5 or 6 wins this year might be enough to keep him.
Nope.
Depending if the offense
2
looks
years
good enough.
2 years in his offense, there's no way in hell Joe Douglas is going to keep Adam Gase, no matter how good a friend.
That would probably be the ideal thing. If they win 5 or 6 games, everybody improves, and then they can get a better coach in here. But I think that they'll, like I said, I think they'll finish in last, but I think they'll be 5 or 6 wins.
All right, in the last, Miami Dolphins.
I think the Dolphins will be where they were continuing last year. They finished with one of the best records in the division last year. The Jets and the Dolphins both had strong second halves this year. Last year, I believe they were both 6-2, and Buffalo and New England both went 4-4. So Brian Flores just really seemed to get things out of guys that did not have. But also, everyone forgot about them last year. Nobody paid any attention to them, and they were able to sneak up on teams toward the end of the year. I like Tua, and I think if he can stay healthy, I think if he, I'll make you a bet right now that if Tua stays healthy, meaning he plays 10 games or more, he'll throw the most touchdown passes any rookie.
Oh yeah, and I will not concur to that, and I will make you that bet that won't happen.
I like him.
He doesn't have the weapons that he had with Alabama. I don't think they're going to be.
I think he's picked up.
I'll tell you what he's picked up.
Picked up a lot of the offense already.
He's picked up a new hip. That's about it.
The players are already kind of noticing the difference when he's in a game. He's a winner. He is a definite winner.
I'm a winner. What is that supposed to mean?
Well, you are a winner.
I'm a winner. You want me to dance on this table?
Well, if you feel like it. Well, but I think Tua is still going to be good, though.
If you feel like.
I do think, though, that the Dolphins, he'll lead them in games where people might not think he will. My biggest fear with him is that he gets hurt early on. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be a big difference maker for that team.
Hip problem is going to affect him. Anyways, quickly, the New England Patriots, I think the New England Patriots are still going to be very scary. Cam Newton is a completely different transition to what they've had over a quarterback over the last 20 years. I think he's going to give them a different dimension. I think he's going to be able to still run the ball and throw the ball in certain seams that you haven't seen a quarterback do in a very, very, very long time over there in New England. You could say whatever you want about Tom Brady. This guy is a completely different beast. And Tom Brady is one of the best quarterbacks at throwing these short passes and making his players make the plays. Not Cam Newton. Newton likes to throw the ball down the field and make the players, pretty much toss the players the ball and let them make the plays in the open field. So I think Cam Newton's a different quarterback. I think he's going to give him a different dimension. And if they add another running back that can help him out, I think the Patriots are still going to win about 11 games and win the division. The Buffalo Bills are going to be highly overrated going into the season and completely fall off on the Tar Heel. I get that, the Tar Heel.
You think they'll be like the Browns last year?
I think
too high of expectations.
I think Josh Allen is highly right now overrated, and it's still he still has to prove that he's got to make the plays in the game when the game is on the line. We have not seen that with him. I worry about Josh Allen. I think he could do a lot of things at running. He's big and strong. He can run the field. He's probably one of the fastest quarterbacks in the league. Crazy to say that with some of the running quarterbacks that we have, but he's pretty fast for a big man. But his problems of accuracy, his accuracy is not as good. So I'm not going to bet on the Buffalo Bills in that defense. That's just being very, very good in the front seven. I think they're going to still have problems in their secondary, even with the two great corners that they have right now on the team. I don't bet on them, okay? I just really don't. And I still think there's going to be problems in that locker room. Too many meatheads. The Jets. I think the Jets are a 7-9. They could be an 8-8, and if in a good year, 9-17. I pretty much hope they're not a 9-7 team because that's not going to be enough to make the playoffs, and I want Adam Gase out of here. Okay, so I hope they're an 8-8, 7-9 team with promise. I think they have a lot of good young players. I think they're going to have a lot of choices of moving forward of where they think they're going to go in the draft because they have 2 first-round draft picks for the next 2 years. They could do a lot of things. The Jets could be very, very scary next year, adding a pass rusher and maybe a big top wide receiver in the draft. They can be a contender next year. So Sam Darnold just needs to show improvements and hopefully, build a good rapport with some of the players that he has on the team because moving forward, Herndon, Piron, and some of the and Denzel Mims are players that you're going to look forward to the future with the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. Tua is a bust. I don't care what any of you say. Adding a hip to a 20-year-old kid when there's a season, this guy's playing in the NFL. They're bigger, stronger. His offensive line stinks, okay? They're terrible. He's going to get killed. He has no wide receivers like he did over there in Alabama. He doesn't have a Judy on the team. He doesn't have all those players. He doesn't have the top speed outside wide receivers to do the things that they did last year in Alabama. I think it's going to be a huge problem because he's not going to get enough time to throw the ball in the NFL. I think Tua's going to have a lot of problems, especially when he gets in. I think Fitzpatrick will get the job until 5-6 games of the season, but Miami, all in all, is going to fall on their head this year. But I think they're a lot better than a lot of people think they are. They'll win 5 or 6 games, be a top 10 pick team, and move forward. I think Miami. I don't think Brian Flores is the answer. I'm just thinking a Patriot, always a Patriot, and those Patriot guys never succeed. I can tell you that with the New York Jets. Even though I thought Eric Mangini has been the best head coach to come from the tree from Bill Belichick. So there you go. Quickly, Speedy. Quickly. Alrighty. AFC West.
Alrighty. So Raiders, I think, are pretenders this year. I think they improved a little bit on defense, but I said
quickly.
Yeah, but I don't think it was enough. So I think they'll be still more like 6-10. Chargers, they have talent. They're the least clutch team in football. They'll be like 7-9, 8-8.
The reason why I say quickly because this division is iffy this year. I don't think this is going to be a very good division.
Yeah, Broncos I like. They're a wild card team to me. I think they were they probably had the best offseason of any AFC team so far. I love their draft. I love the improvements they made defensively. And another year of Vic Fangio I think will really help that defense. And the Chiefs are the champs. They're still going to be dominant.
All right, Mr. Marky Mark.
Obviously, I like the Chiefs to finish first. I like Denver to finish second. The Raiders and the Chargers, I think, will pull up the third and fourth place with the Raiders getting third and fighting for a postseason.
I think the Raiders are going to have a better season than you think, Speedy. I think they're a borderline playoff team. I don't like the Broncos this year. I think
trust their defense, the
No,
Raiders?
here's the problem. Yes, I do. I trust their defense, and I think the schemes that he's going to put together, and I think say whatever you want about Gruden. Gruden is one of the best when it comes to game planning against teams. He really is, and I still think he has the mind to figure out, and I think Oakland's going to squeak into the playoffs this year.
Really?
Yes, I like their quarterback. I think their quarterback is one of the best underrated quarterbacks in the NFL, and they have arguably the best tight end in football. So say whatever you want. I think they're going to be a scary team. The Broncos, I'm just not. Locke, this is his second full year as the starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see his sophomore burn and out. I think Judy is going to be a star. I think the players that they have are going to make plays, but I don't like their defense. And you have a defensive guy running the offense. I don't think that's a good sign for any team when you have a defensive mind running practically the defense and then an offensive coordinator running the offense. That doesn't work in the NFL we've seen over the years. So I think this is going to be a back-breaking year for the Broncos, even though they had a very good offseason. Adding also Melvin Gordon, who I think is going to be very explosive. I really do. The Chargers are going to be really bad. They just are. I don't know what to say. Melvin Ingram might not play. They're iffy. Phillip Rivers is no longer there. They have a rookie quarterback. I like Herbert, but I don't know if Herbert's going to start. They're talking about he might not start. They might start somebody else.
Tyrod Taylor.
I mean, they're all over the place. The Chargers are going to be really, really bad. They're going to fire their coach after this year.
I think so, too.
And Kansas City is going to be great. We know what Kansas City is. Even without Chris Jones, this team is explosive. They're great. And they're going to be very, very scary. They're going to be one of the Super Bowl contenders again this year. But I think they'll be knocked out in the AFC title game. So I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl this year, as good as they are on paper. I think Andy Reid still has that figuring out to do on winning Super Bowls, and even though we won last year, I still think that the Kansas City Chiefs are a little bit offset this year.